You are seeing what you are used to feeding your brain, that algorithm, that Netflix algorithm, over and over and over. You have trained yourself to find proof, the smallest little smidgen of proof that it's not going to work. Your thoughts are that watch history, so stop dwelling on how far you have to go, because your brain is just going to queue up another episode of, never gonna get there. Are you focusing on lack? Or are you focusing on abundance? Because your mind is always going to give you more of what you seek. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause podcast, where we help you understand this new body of yours. Now that you've gone through some hormonal changes, or maybe you're past perimenopause and now you're in postmenopause, we know that your fat loss strategies just really aren't cutting it anymore. And so it's time to learn how to work with this new body of yours instead of against it, so you can unlock your fat burning pathways, get energy back, and have your confidence again. And so today I wanted to share a recording of a training that we did with our one-to-one coaching clients a couple weeks ago. It is something that I didn't think was going to be such a big hit, but everyone said it was exactly what they needed to hear, that it was what they needed to keep going, that it was like I was speaking directly to them. And so I couldn't just keep this to ourselves. I wanted to share it with you. And so I hope that you find this as helpful as they did. Okay, so today I want to talk about where our focus goes. This is something that I think is really important, and I want to give like some different examples, not just from health and nutrition, but in just general real life stuff where we're focusing on lack or abundance. So I want you to think about Netflix. Like, have you ever noticed how Netflix always starts recommending shows the minute that you finish one, right? It's gonna be like, oh, you enjoyed Gilmore Girls? How about this show, right? Oh, you like this thrill mystery? How about this thriller mystery? And it keeps showing you more of what you've already watched. Our minds work exactly the same way. But it's the content that we consume isn't just on the screens that we have, it's in our thoughts, our beliefs, our identity. And so let me give you an example for myself to kind of make this make sense a little bit. And it's not going to pertain to health and fitness, but for me, it was all tied to self-worth. I always walked around for the majority of my life just assuming that people do not like me. And so I would think this all the time, and my brain would then constantly keep feeding me proof that it was true, that I did not fit in, that I didn't belong, that I was the black sheep, that I was never invited to things. I was always left out. People didn't like me. People didn't want to spend time around me. And I did not realize that my mind was running on kind of this like lack, for better term, algorithm. It's always going to show me more reasons as to why I couldn't, why I wouldn't, or why I shouldn't have people like me. And so this goes the same for our health and fitness journeys. I mean, just today, I've been talking to people who are panicking, saying things aren't working when they think there's something wrong with them, right? And so then when I go and I look, and I'm looking at food blogs, and I'm looking at habits, and I'm looking at the scale, you were seeing progress. You're doing the things. You were doing amazing. Like, I'm very happy with the progress. There isn't a ton that I would be changing because we're seeing your body respond, which is fantastic. And this is like textbook what I want to see, but we're so convinced that this is just going to be something else that doesn't work. We're just so convinced that we're going to fail yet again, that it's just going to be another thing to add to that pile of stuff that it didn't work out, right? You are seeing what you are used to feeding your brain, that algorithm, that Netflix algorithm, over and over and over. You have trained yourself to find proof, the smallest little smidgen of proof that it's not going to work, that you are going to fail. Are you focusing on lack? Or are you focusing on abundance? Because your mind is always going to give you more of what you seek. Always. And so the first thing I want to touch on here is what you seek, you strengthen. Your brain has this thing called a built-in RAS. It's your reticular activating system. And it's like a filter that brings what you focus on to the surface, always. So this will be like, if we're in a lack mindset, it's I'm too tired. I've failed before. It's not working fast enough. Does that sound familiar to anyone, right? These thoughts are compounding like your Netflix queue. One negative episode leads to another negative episode, leads to another negative episode, and you just continue to spiral. So for myself, like I'll give this example for like exercise, like when I focus on everything that I wasn't thin enough, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't disciplined enough, I wasn't fit enough, I wasn't pretty enough. I only kept receiving more and more proof that that was true over and over and over again. And you just get into this negative spiral and you keep looping down and down and down and down because your body, your brain, it's always going to give you more of what you're looking for. It is just like Netflix. Oh, we just did that. Let me give you another and another and another, right? So we need to flip the script to looking for some abundance here. We can rewrite our algorithm. I never used to enjoy looking at chickens. Now, if you look on my Facebook feed, I see things about nutrition and health and chickens. I showed my husband yesterday, 2 days ago. I was like, I don't know how people don't see this. Like, it's chickens wearing little hats. They're wearing little ties, little bows. They have swings. They have little picnic tables that are made just for the chickens. It's amazing. But everybody else's algorithm doesn't show them chickens. The algorithm shows me chickens because I pause and look at the chickens. I like the chickens. I click on the profile of the chickens, right? And so it's going to keep showing me more chickens. And it sounds so dumb, but it's exactly how we are. And so when we're looking for this positivity, it's not toxic positivity. It's not pretending that everything is fine. Abundance is the belief that your body is going to work with you, not against you. It's a mindset that says there is time to change. My past does not dictate my future. That is one of the most powerful things you can say to yourself. I can grow from this. So many of you that are in the challenge have shared how like, oh, I feel like I failed, but I'm using it as an opportunity to learn. Amazing. That's what we want to see. You want to be telling yourself there's still more available to me. There is more strength in my future, more healing, more energy, more sleep, right? We all love more sleep. So an abundance mindset is I am learning to listen to my body, right? Many of us are trying to get hunger cues that we haven't felt in years. Another abundance mindset example is every meal is a chance to nourish myself. And Father's Day weekend, we probably didn't do so hot. And that's okay. I mean, I shared my scale weight. You saw it jumped up 2 pounds from yesterday. You know what I'm doing today? Nothing different. I'm going right back to what I was doing before because I know, I am seeing the trend of that weight going down. You're going to have a spike every now and then. Every single person's profile that we have, it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And when we look at the averages week over week, we can see it trending downwards. We see a new low pop up every single week. And the highs might not be as high. But that's why we want to weigh ourselves every day because we can see those fluctuations and take the average. Because if I only weighed myself on Mondays, Mondays are always my heaviest days. Because your sleep is off. When you have worse sleep, inflammation goes up, fluid retention. My time of eating is usually all messed up. The types of foods that I'm eating are different. We might go out to eat that has more salt. I see more fluid retention. Activity changes. Stress levels change. Maybe you're traveling. Monday, you're always going to be heavier, almost always. That's why we take weekly averages. Monday is the worst day to weigh. The worst. We're coming off of a time where things are not great, right? So we need to just reframe of like, yeah, I enjoyed my weekend and it was great. And the scale is higher because of XXX. Awesome. It's just water. Now, today it's just another opportunity. Every meal is a chance to nourish myself. Progress compounds. It takes time. Just like eating a piece of cake every single day is probably going to add up. So is doing 10 squats every single day. So is that 5-minute walk. So is feet up on the wall for 3 minutes. Little things compound over time, right? That's how interest works. So just like all those things that we're doing to progress compound, so does our belief. We need to take these little moments to acknowledge the changes and the identity that's happening. This is all brain neuroplasticity. You are not stuck. Your brain is rewired with repetition and intention. Your thoughts are the watch history of your Netflix. So every single time that you dwell on how far you still have to go, your brain queues up another episode to support that story. Who is sick of watching that highlight reel of all of your failures? Done. I'm done with it. Right? I'm watching the highlight reel of my actual highlights. Proof that I can do hard things. We do it all the time. Make a list of all the challenging things that you have done that should have stopped you, that you've conquered. Look at that list. That's your highlight reel. You can do it. Don't let tracking food be the thing that, makes you not see progress. Don't let the fact that you don't want to put your feet up on the wall for 5 minutes and doing deep breathing be the reason that you don't get to where you want to be when you've already conquered everything else. Right? So your thoughts are that watch history. So stop dwelling on how far you have to go, because your brain is just going to queue up another episode of, never going to get there. It's going to be a memory of past failure. It's going to be a comparison to someone else who is doing better. We have women that are crushing it in the challenge. They're seeing changes. Amazing. Some of us are struggling because our health is not in a position where we're going to see as much, right? It's going to take a little bit longer to see those changes. That doesn't mean you're not going to get there. It means you're on a different timeline, different storyline. That's fine, right? We want to make sure that we're not queuing up another episode of, using food for comfort when we're having cravings and having a bad day, right? Let's change that. Change what you're watching. Because when you shift that abundance input, the algorithm completely changes for you. Today, I honored my body with movement. That cues like pride and self-respect. You can be proud of yourself, right? I chose protein and greens at lunch today. Boom. I'm respecting myself. I have energy. I feel vibrant. I drank water instead of pounding another coffee. That shows that you are capable. But you have to acknowledge those things. If you don't, your body doesn't even regard them. So you have to acknowledge the wins along the way. Like, I did this exercise with someone where we wrote down all the hard things that, that should have stopped her, but she persevered. And then on the other side, we had a list of all the things that she's accomplished that have been amazing. The amount of detail that went into the pain, the hard times, the struggle was insane. And then on the other side, I was like, I wrote a book. I did this. I'm like, can you imagine if you put in that much detail into the wins, the good stuff, how different you would view life? It would be a night and day difference, right? Because those thoughts start to snowball, just like binge watching a series. I started watching Sullivan's Crossing. I finished it so fast. I don't even know what happened. It just happened, right? Our thoughts are the exact same way if we don't take them captive. So are you going to keep binge watching a negative series, or are you going to start binge watching the version that you're becoming into, right? So instead of being like, why bother? I'm going to fall off again. You say, missing one day doesn't undo weeks of effort. I keep going. It doesn't undo all the hard work that I've done. You could say everyone else has it easier. My body is broken, especially when you see other people winning, right? Or you can go, my body's communicating. I'm learning to listen to it so I can give it what it needs so I can be that. I can be like her, right? Or you go from being like, I missed a workout, I blew it, to I'm building consistency. I'm not chasing perfection. Full transparency, I'm trying to work out 3 days a week. The last 2 weeks, I've only done 2 days a week because I had workouts planned on Saturday and routine just gets messed up. So I've adjusted 2 weeks in a row. I'm not happy with that. So I'm taking action. I've changed my workouts instead of being Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I know that I'm going to go because it's scheduled here. I have someone watching my son. There's less likely things to get disrupted during the week. And so I'm doing it. I am choosing to not be like, I didn't do it again, to I am doing it. I am taking action. I am taking control, right? Taking accountability for myself, taking responsibility for that. That's nobody else's fault that I didn't work out on Saturday, right? Things came up, but ultimately I made that choice. So now I'm making different choices to make sure it happens. And so what you have to tell yourself is like, stop making your body the villain. You have to stop seeing your journey as punishment. You have to shift to that abundance mindset. When you start looking at every meal, every repetition, every night's sleep, every deep breathing as an act of self-respect for yourself, you're not just going to get stronger physically. You are going to rebuild your entire relationship with yourself. You will like who you are. You'll be proud of yourself. You'll be able to show up in relationships differently, your work differently, because you actually respect yourself for the person that you are. You're going to be so much stronger than just physically. You're going to be more than just fit. Who you are completely changes, and we see this in women every single day. That abundance is going to help increase your adherence. It's hard to stick to a plan when you're just watching negative show, negative show, negative show, right? When you feel like you're doing something for your body instead of against it, that's a totally different thing. You're not fighting. You're cooperating. You're collaborating. It's a totally different feeling. You're going to see your stress decrease, right? Cortisol is going to lower when you stop obsessing over perfection and you start practicing compassion with yourself. It supports better fat loss that way too, right? You stop self-sabotaging because abundance helps you get out of that all or nothing mindset. So like, think about it. What is playing on repeat in your mind right now? What thoughts keep playing, right? Over and over and over again. Is that what you want to be viewing every day? No. And you have control over your thoughts. Think of a pineapple. Boom, we're all thinking of a pineapple. You can't control your thoughts, right? So with those thoughts, the ones that you're replaying over and over and keep saying to yourself all of the time, would those be recommended to someone who wants to feel energized, who wants to feel healthy, who wants to feel confident? Probably not, right? So what do you need to start watching instead? So tactically, how does this work? Because in theory, sounds very good, sounds very motivational, but like, how do I actually do it, right? You're going to hear me say this a bajillion times. Identity drives action. Who you believe you are shapes every decision you make. You will always act based on what you believe to be true about yourself. If you think you are patient, you will act patient. If you think you're impulsive, you will be impulsive, right? That's how we react. Oh, I'm an impulsive person, therefore I act impulsively. So you got to change what you think about yourself. And you don't rise to the levels of your goals. Never. You always fall to the levels of your systems, and your systems are built around your identity. So if I am someone who always starts but never finishes, guess what my brain will show me? Right? A highlight reel of all the things you started but never finished. And let's be honest, anyone can start something great. Anyone can have a wonderful idea and get started on it, but not everyone will finish it, right? But that's why you're all here. You're here to start, you're here to finish it, and you're going to finish it strong. We have to shift those outcome goals. Stop focusing on the 10 pounds, the 15 pounds, the 20 pounds. Change it to identity goals. I am strong. I am energetic. I'm a woman who honors my health. Because what happens when you get to 10 pounds? You're probably not any happier. Let's be honest. You haven't changed who you are. And what's going to keep you doing the things to maintain that? Nothing, right? When we switch to identity goals of I am someone who is patient, who prioritizes her health, who has boundaries around work so she can spend time with her family, who eats healthy foods, who does things to support her liver because it's very important for, cancer health. That keeps me going even after I reach whatever goal I have. So when we're looking at our fitness journey, our health and fitness journey, we want to stop chasing that perfection and just start embodying who you want to become, and everything will change for you. So for myself, going back to the whole people don't like me, I'm an outcast, I'm a black sheep, I never fit in. You have to change the way you view yourself. You've heard me say this a bunch of times, right? we're always going to act based on what we believe to be true about herself. So, how does someone act when they assume that people don't like them? Hide in the background, play small. I don't speak up. I don't start conversations. I wait to be invited to things, doubt myself, second guess myself. And are those the people who get invited to things? People who are liked, people like to be around? Not usually, right? People start to view that person as inferior, weak, insecure. So when I changed what I believe to be true about myself, which came through doing a lot of internal work, a lot of reading, a lot of self-development, but also, honestly, a lot of it came through my faith because I've changed a lot in the last 3 years. And I pay attention to like who God tells me I am and reminding myself of who I actually am. That value does not come from what any other person thinks. I show up completely different. I remember going to an event when I was in Dallas, and I remember like just praying about things. I remember being like, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be me. I'm not going to worry about whether or not people like me because that's not something I control. I'm going to be me. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to start conversations. And I did. And I have never felt so myself in a work environment in my entire life where it was around a bunch of strangers, where people didn't know me. I started conversations with women who are further ahead in the field that I look up to. And it was great conversations. I'm the one inviting people into conversations. I'm being bold. I'm not afraid. I showed up completely different. I was making connections happen. And so everything changed. All of a sudden, I started getting invited on podcasts. I started having incredible coaches wanting to come work for our team, people asking us for mentorship, asking me to write a book, asking me to speak, asking me to create a certification. So we're doing it. And this can and will happen to you too if you change the damn algorithm in your mind. So how are we doing that, right? The shift starts small and it's with daily inputs. We're writing new mental shows into our queue, right? We're replacing things that are coming up on our For You page in our social media. We're changing the things that are showing up in our Netflix, right? So there are little things that you can do that they're going to sound so stupid and so small and so dumb, but honestly, they've transformed the way I view about myself. It makes it easier to show up the way I want to show up, be who I am, who I believe God called me to be. I get to, show up in work for my family, in my health, in the gym. It's totally different. And so finding some daily affirmations that support abundance. So I have things written on my whiteboard that I read based on how I'm feeling. So I have one for fear, failure, and unworthiness. I have one for times where I feel doubt, discouragement, and overwhelm. I have one where I feel uncertainty, right? And when I start worrying about like what other people think of me, I just, am I really going to let what one person thinks dictate my choices? I'm giving all my control to that one person. The answer for me is no. And so I have all these different affirmations that help me with that. Making sure you're surrounding yourself with people who mirror where you're headed, not where you've been. This is probably one of the single biggest pieces of advice I can give, because you're going to be the average of the person that you spend the most time with, right? The 5 people, they say. But like, if you want to be healthier, you should probably find friends who also want to be healthier or are already healthier. People who are active, who are doing the activities that you like, who are having the same values, who, you got to find that aspect of community. You've got to find those people. And it's hard when you have people you want to bring along on the journey with you and they don't want to. That's really hard. I'm not going to lie. I've, in the past few years, I've gotten, rid of a lot of friends that were friends that are no longer friends, mentors who are no longer mentors. The people who are above you are never going to push you down. They are going to pull you up. They're going to encourage you. They're going to be excited for you. They're going to be pumped that you are trying to become this better version of yourself, whether that's in work or faith or your spirituality or your family or, your health, your fitness, your hormones, whatever that looks like. They are going to be really excited for you. So you have to assess, like, are the people I'm hanging out with where I want to go, or are they where I no longer want to be? and having those conversations, because some of them might be excited and try with you, right? We've had people here whose siblings have joined the program, whose friends have joined, coworkers, and that's amazing. And it's beautiful to see, and it's so exciting because you are actually changing the environment to better yourself, but you're also doing it for other people, which is freaking amazing. You are that person who's pulling them up, that's showing them where they could be headed. And that's like a really big deal that I don't think a lot of you realize that you're doing for people in your life. You know, we're training people's husbands, we're coaching people's kids. It's incredible. It's incredible. You are creating this movement, this ripple effect, and you're pulling people along, which is awesome. The next thing is practicing some gratitude, not just for the results, but the process. So not, oh, I'm so grateful that I lost 2 pounds this week, right? That's not what we're doing. We're saying, oh, I'm so grateful that I was able to nourish my body with anti-inflammatory foods. I am grateful that, I was able to move my body. I was able to spend quality time with my family. I was able to get out in the sunshine. Praise and be grateful for the process, not just the outcome. Because if we're so focused on the outcome, what do you do once you get there? You have nothing left to keep you going. We have to pay attention to the process. And then the other thing too is paying attention to those inputs. So not just the people that you surround yourself, but also your physical environment. Like, is it an environment that helps improve your stress? Is it an environment that makes you happy? Is it clean? Is there good food options, right? Like, is there, like, audit that environment. Obviously, the people that you surround yourself with, what you watch. This is a big one. What are you consuming? Because everything that comes into our body that our brain processes is going to have a response of some kind. So what are you watching? What are you listening to? What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of podcasts do you listen to? What kind of books are you reading, right? How are you spending your free time? Conversations that you have. What are the topics of conversation? The foods that you buy. Those are all inputs that are going to have an effect on your body, whether it's your mindset, whether it's your health, right? And so it's going to be celebrating the consistency of all these small things over time. That works way better than trying to be intense right off the hop and then you run out of steam. Life is not a sprint. We want it to be a marathon. We want to be around for a long time. We want to be the best version of ourselves for as long as we can, right? Always trying to learn and grow and progress. We're never trying to be perfect. We're celebrating the habits that you are building, and especially in the challenge specifically, like, there are some huge foundational habits that we are addressing: the de-stressing, activity, the types of foods that you're eating. Like, these are all foundational things that you should be continuing on afterwards, right? To nourish your body, to feel your best, to bring down your inflammation. You should be really proud of yourself for that. That's a big, big deal. And so it really is like our hearts and our mind are Netflix. You watch one show, it gives you another recommendation, and they're all similar. That's the algorithm. It gives you more of what you choose to look at. Your heart and brain are exactly the same way. So what are you choosing to look at? Because that's what you're going to get. And you get what you surround yourself with. So here's to another amazing week of choosing what we're looking at so that we get a better recommendation every single time. I love you all so, so much. Have a wonderful rest of your week. If you have questions, as always, you can reach out, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.